Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, and I am championing the book Hench by Natalie Zina Walshots. And I have Natalie with me today, and we're going to ask her some questions. Hey, Natalie, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Good, thanks. You surviving the pandemic so far?
Surprisingly well, actually. It turns out I was very prepared for never leaving my house.
Yeah. Um, so Hench is your first novel. I love that. I'm totally blown away by that. And not only is it your debut novel, it's one of the first genre novels to make it onto Canada Reads. What's that like? Like, how amazing is it? Because it's difficult enough to just get anything
Man,
published. And for you to get this fantastic book published and then make it onto Canada Reads, what's going through your head?
I don't want this to come across as cliche, but it barely seems real. I wrote Hench for me and for my friends and for a very small, beloved target audience, I think. I put everything I liked into it and things that I thought were important and, things that I love when they happen in stories. All of that kind of was distilled in there. And the fact that is resonating with so many people and has been received so warmly, and to be on Canada Reads is legitimately a dream come true, and honestly not something I am somewhere I did not think I was going to be, and that's really remarkable. And being in a very small group of of genre writers who've made it on, like Madeline Ashby, for example, like that's incredibly great company to be keeping.
Hmm. Um, so your journey in terms of writing Hench, you said you wrote it for yourself and all the things that you liked. What was that in terms of that? That's that next step of, a lot of people, they'll write for themselves, or they'll I'll build props for myself, and or I'll do things because I enjoy them and I want to share them with a small group of friends. But writing a novel and getting it published is a very public thing as well. Did you expect that? I mean, what were your hopes for Hench when you wrote it and you wanted to share it? Because it is so deeply personal and it has resonated with so many people.
I really just wanted it to be something that readers would enjoy the experience of. Like, I
Mhm.
wanted it to be a fun, pleasurable read that didn't get in its own way and was just like fun to consume, like was a fun experience to have had. And those were honestly the highest hopes that I had for it, that somebody would read it and think it was fun.
Well, I did, and I absolutely did, and you totally nailed it, because I keep saying in all the interviews when I'm talking about your book is that it's a fun read. It is. It reminds me of why I started reading for fun instead of, you go to school and you have to read certain books and you need to read and you need to learn, and there are other books that you'll do, and but Hench is all that and more. Like, it is not just fun. That helps a lot, but it is a familiar world. You take a genre and you twist it and slightly subvert it and have a slightly different perspective, which gives it a really fresh twist. There are a lot of themes in it that really resonate with me that are applicable to our daily lives now, if you stop to think about it. And what I love about Hench as well is the world that you created. Like, you've created a world, you've built a world that is so, it feels authentic, it feels really lived in, and it's got superheroes and supervillains in it, which isn't, it's not that huge a leap. It's not like so far ahead sci-fi where it's like, oh well, like, Star Wars, a galaxy far, far away, or Star Trek, where you have
Right.
such advanced tech. We go, okay, well, this is science fiction. This is close to almost science fact. And so, can you talk about creating that world and what was the? I mean, it is very familiar and it is very authentic and believable, right down to the office dynamics, which I love as well. But when you were creating this world, that was a conscious decision on your behalf.
Absolutely. Like, I think the world in which we live is a very weird place, and the things that are not supernatural or superpowered, in our own context, there are equally strange things that exist in reality than exist in a universe where there are superpowers. It's just different weird. There's weird that we're familiar with and weird that we're not. So I consciously kept in mind wanting to keep things strange, but strange in a to a familiar degree, if not in familiar ways. So the that they're I wanted for all of the like lava guns and like microwave contact heat abilities that cook somebody. I also wanted it to be very ordinary and very like have dingy apartments and public transit that only medium worked and your extremely annoying coworkers and extremely great coworkers. I wanted it to feel full and lush and complicated and boring in all of the same ways that our universe is all of those things. And then to have the things that were strange feel no stranger than something we might encounter here, just different.
Well, it's completely believable. And that's what I love about it. Like you've created a world that is completely believable because of those mundane things, those everyday things. And I think, superhero culture, in pop culture at least, over the last decade, 20 years, have become so infused in especially Western society. You have all the DC movies and the Marvel movies. Superheroes have become just so almost commonplace in our vernacular that it just when you take those superpowers and you ground them in something as ordinary or as familiar as the world that you've created, then it's utterly believable, which is what I love too. And I also want to talk about the believability of the office dynamics that you've created, even though they are working for a super villain. I love the team that Anna puts together and the banter that they have back and forth. It is just, there's something really lovely as well about the inclusivity and the diversity of the characters that you've brought in without drawing attention to their diversity. And your characters just are, which I love. As an actor of color, it's like that's my biggest dream, is to just play a character that just is, and they happen to be of this background, and it doesn't really, it'll color or inform them, but it's not all about them. So there's so much more than just that, and I love that with what you have with your characters. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Oh, sure thing. Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much. I really love and appreciate that resonated with you and anybody. It was a very conscious decision on my part to make the cast what it is, and also not to put race or sexuality or gender in a position where any character's trauma was exploited, or in a situation where those identities were mined for discomfort or the pain of that character. I think that there are a lot of really wonderful and important stories that are about like what a character is, experiencing as a gay character or as a non-binary character, and those are really, really crucial. I wanted to give my characters space to exist without that being called upon and called out and be a central part of the plot, right? Like the plot did not revolve around their pain or their discomfort or their trauma associated with their identity. That was really important. I wanted that ordinariness to be there in the world.
Lovely. And mission accomplished, and it's much appreciated too. I mean, I know I appreciated that, and it gives, again, a sense of depth to this novel. Do you think genre novels get ripped off in that way? Because I think comic books, they're able to really put a magnifying glass on a lot of ills or a lot of issues that we have nowadays, but in a very, very presentable way. But for whatever reason, they're never quite taken seriously. Why do you think that is? And just why do you think that is?
I mean, I'm an all genre media apologist, right? I'm more interested in horror and speculative fiction than I am any other literature, and I have like degrees in experimental Canadian poetry. So like I understand how literature works. I assure you, I am familiar with this structure and these devices, and frankly, books with robots and ghosts in them are more fun. They're just they tend to be written for joy and pleasure. And sure there are like often really horrifying things and like, you know, or or ridiculous things, and you know there are definitely like talking dinosaurs and wizards and whatever, like all of that's there, and it's very easy to be like there's a dragon here, I don't need to take this seriously.
Right.
But there's genre tends to hold joy as being extremely important in a way that I have often experienced that like literary fiction does not. You know, that the for all the very important work a book might be doing, there's the pleasure of reading, the experience of this is really fun and I want to know what happens next and I cannot believe that just occurred, or whatever. That really fun story stuff can sometimes get pushed to the side in favor of like important themes and complicated structure and device. Those are good, important things. Like, I don't want to be like super dismissive of that. But I do feel that when media forgets to be joyful or forgets to be pleasurable or forgets this stuff can just happen because it's cool and we want to see it and it would be really neat, or you know, like it would there is an incredible power in the catharsis of a moment, or in, you know, like there is a reason that the theater I was in literally started screaming when Cap said Avengers Assemble, because you have like the entire MCU preparing for that moment, right? Like this huge story engine driving to that moment. But the joy and catharsis and profound emotion and triumph that you get to share in that moment is extraordinary. And I think a big part of that is because, you know, genre stories, whether they, you know, be superheroes or horror or any other kind of spec fic, doesn't forget about the power of those moments and the power of that that joy and that pleasure in consumption.
Thank you so much. I'm again. Why don't you introduce yourself there? Say your name, and then I'll say my name, and then we'll sign off.
It sounds great. I am Natalie Zina Walshots, the author of Hench.
And I'm Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, and I will be championing Hench for Canada Reads 2021 edition. Okay, see you.
Bye.